In this tutorial, I will demonstrate how to run a chi-square test using the IBM SPSS software. In this dataset, I have a group of 75 students. For each student, I have recorded their preference for a specific type of instruction. This is recorded under the instructional format variable. I can see, for instance, if I look at the variable view tab, that the instructional format variable can have three values, 1, 2, or 3. 1 is indicates face-to-face instruction, 2 indicates a preference for hybrid instruction, and 3 indicates a preference for fully online instruction. I also have another categorical variable named educational level. For this variable indicates whether students are at the undergraduate or at the graduate level. Let's say that I am interested in examining the relationship between these two categorical variables. I want to see whether students' preference for a specific type of instruction varies by across educational levels, or if there are any differences between undergraduate and graduate students in their preference for a specific instructional format. So to do that, I go to the Analyze menu and then click on Descriptive Statistics and then select Cross Tabs. From here, I can create a cross tabulation or a contingency table representing the two variables. I can select which variable I want to be represented in rows and which one I want to be represented in columns. Let's say educational levels should be represented in columns because there are only two levels, and then instructional format in rows. So up until this point, I'm only getting a contingency table. So I'm only getting descriptive information representing the frequency of each variable, the number of individuals in each subcategory. But if I want to actually conduct a test of significance and look at the relationship between the two variables, I have to go to the statistics button and check the chi-square option here. Notice that there are many other options for nominal and ordinal variables, but for now we'll keep things simple and just calculate the chi-square statistics and then click continue. And then for each cell, I want to obtain some additional information which will help me interpret the results. So for counts, I want to also obtain the expected counts in addition to the observed counts, and also obtain the standardized residual, which reflects the differences between the observed and the expected counts. Notice that you can also request the percentages of individuals in each subcategory, but again, let's keep things simple and just stick with the counts for now. So I'm going to click continue and then click OK. So in the output window, I obtain the results. The results consist of three tables. The first one is just a summary table representing the number of valid observations and the number of missing values. The second table is the actual cross tabulation or the contingency table. And for each type of preference, whether it's face-to-face, hybrid, or online, I get the number of students in each subcategory. For instance, I can see that 15 undergraduate students prefer face-to-face instruction and 10 graduate students preferred face-to-face instruction. Just by looking at the table, again, I can see descriptively where individuals are located in terms of their preference. But if I want to get more precise information and see whether these differences are statistically significant, I have to look at the results of the chi-square test. The chi-square value is 23.7 with 2 degrees of freedom, and the p-value that is smaller than 0.001, which means that it is statistically significant. So I can conclude that yes, there is a relationship between the two variables. However, the chi-square alone doesn't tell me where the statistical difference occurs in this table, whether it is across all subcategories or only some categories. And here is where the standardized residuals come in very handy because, for instance, if we look at face-to-face instruction, we can see that, for instance, the observed count was 15 and the expected count was 14. So there wasn't a very big difference. Similarly, with graduate students, the observed count was 10, the expected count was 11. So only a difference of one between the two. And the standardized residuals were not significant. So here we see standardized residuals of zero point 0.3. uh, Standardized residuals are considered significant if they have absolute values that are larger than 2. For instance, if we look at hybrid education, we can see that the observed count was 20 for undergraduate students and the expected count was only 14. So the standardized residual is 2.1. For graduate students, the standardized residual is negative 2.4. So we can conclude that in terms of hybrid education, there is a significant difference in preference between undergraduate and graduate students, with undergraduate students preferring hybrid education more so than graduate students. Similarly, with fully online education, we can say that more graduate students prefer fully online education, whereas undergraduate students do not seem to prefer fully online education. So significant differences in our case occur for hybrid and fully online education, but not so much for face-to-face education between undergraduate and graduate students. So this is in a nutshell how to conduct and how to interpret the results of a chi-square test using the IBM SPSS software.